Mina Kimes is going to join us here in just a second, and we will get her insights and analysis. Of course, host of the Mina Kimes Show featuring Lenny and NFL Live, which you can catch weekdays on ESPN. I always enjoy setting my DVR and catching up on NFL Live after the fact. They've been doing great analysis all pre-draft process long. They do it all year long with the NFL season. And Mina texted me a couple of weeks ago saying that she said, we are all in now on Cam Ward. We, meaning her and Lenny, all in on the likely, presumptive Titans quarterback with the number 1 overall pick. Hey, Mina.
Hey, apologies for running a little late. I feel like anytime I ever use Zoom, it's like, you got to reinstall it from the very beginning.
Ironically enough, Mina, I've heard worse excuses for being late to the radio show, so it's completely fine. It's even better than saying, well, I've got hair and makeup for TV, so I can't do it then. I can't do it then. We are currently renegotiating our contracts to make sure that we get hair and makeup in the next iteration of the radio show.
We could do it while I'm getting that done, but it might look a little strange on camera. No, I'm excited to talk Cam Ward. I feel like you and I maybe corresponded around the combine when it seemed significantly less likely that the Titans were going Cam. I really feel like at that point it seemed like Abdul Carter was the pick, right? Coming off of parting ways with Harold Landry. There's talk about going best player available at such a position of need. But I think it became pretty quickly clear that they were falling in love with Cam Ward. And, speaking for myself, but I think also a lot of folks in the draft space, the more of his tape we watched, the more I think folks felt comfortable with him being the first quarterback taken overall and deserving of that pick.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, Mina, for me, it's as simple as that Florida game this past college football season, because I think it encompassed so much of the Cam Ward experience, the highs and the lows, and the fact that he's just I believe Emery Hunt at CBS Sports described it on the radio show when he joined us at the Combine as battle-tested, that he's been able to elevate his game at every level, and that he's not one of these cookie-cutter, Elite 11 his entire life quarterback automatons that comes in here. He is going to play the position a bit differently than what we are accustomed to seeing, but it doesn't mean that he can't still do it at a high level, which is, I think, the exciting factor about it. Is that also your observation based on tape?
Yeah, you hit a bunch of things that I really liked about his game, one of which was his improvement. So I'm a Washington Huskies fan, and I remember watching, Cam at Wazoo and thinking, I don't know, maybe mid-round quarterback. And you guys know he got advice to go back to college and not enter the draft. And I think from an evaluation perspective, again, knowing that he still has refinement to go, that he wasn't, like you said, this one of these overcoached quarterbacks his entire life. I think the improvement you saw from Washington State to Miami is really exciting and encouraging, because that's a quality when you look at a lot of the elite quarterbacks in the NFL, your Josh Allens, for example, your Jalen Hurts, that's something that they all have in common, is that continued improvement from the college and that continued into the NFL. It's sort of like I just think a trait that certain guys have, and it also is indicative of a desire and willingness to get better and be coached. And then the other thing you touched on there, the playmaking is just something, when you look at the top 10, 15 quarterbacks in the NFL, the vast majority of them at this point have that second reaction ability to make plays both inside and outside of structure. And I think that's where Ward is somewhat unique in this class. He has that ability both ways to play inside and outside the pocket. And if I'm a Titans fan, I'm excited about that.
And how did Lenny express his approval for Cam Ward as the number 1 overall pick? Because when we last talked, you had said we are both all in. Yeah. On Cam Ward.
Lenny, a few woofs, maybe desire to go to Tennessee, visit our family, and see him play in person, if that were to happen.
Well, you're probably getting new neighbors at some point, right? Harold's on the way out.
I know. Our guy, I'm excited for him in New England, though. That's a great landing spot for him. Just a terrific human, Harold Landry as well. But yeah, no, I'm excited. I also loved, by the way, Cam Ward the other day, I'm sure you guys talked about this, listing all of the Titans receivers like somebody trying to get someone to trade for him in fantasy. And I've got Treylon Burks, and I've got but I love that. It reminds me a little bit of, Caleb Williams when he was drafted first overall by Chicago, and you heard he was already working out with Keenan Allen and DJ Moore or whatnot. It's what I know, obviously Caleb had his ups and downs, but that's what you want to hear, that the organization has not made a mystery of it. I think that's a good thing.
I had to start my tenure of covering Cam Ward by calling him a liar when he listed Treylon Burks as the fourth best wide receiver in football. But that's fine, Mina. That's fine. We appreciate him, his support, and him being a good teammate. Mina Kimes, host of the Mina Kimes Show, featuring Lenny, of course, available wherever you get your podcast. Must listen to, no matter what time of year it is in the NFL news cycle. And also you can catch her on NFL Live weekdays on ESPN.
Mina, so glad that you brought that up, the Fortnite thing. We had Trevor Sikkema on earlier. He brought up the same thing. He loved it. It was funny. It was awesome to see Cam Ward playing to the Titans fan base. Buck hated it. So it was a very fake laugh that he gave you right there.
I hated the fan freak out, all right? I didn't hate that he's playing video games and he listed Treylon Burks.
And
I
now
hated
he's
the fan freak
walking it back. Buck hates
Is there a fan freak out?
He's a guy who hates joy,
God.
Mina, just generally.
Mina, they're so desperate. The football team has been horrendous here for so long that any sign of life, hope, or just general gaslighting, they'll take it and run with it for a mile.
Love that. I will say it does highlight the need to get more receivers. Yes. I think, I did like some of the moves that the Titans made this offseason, and that was also a big part of why we knew they were taking Ward, right? Obviously, the inaction at quarterback, but working to improve that offensive line. This is still a very incomplete group of skill players. Defensively, edge is just so glaring. It's why we all thought they might take Carter. Fortunately, it's a pretty deep edge draft. There's some interesting options for them, in the mid rounds. But there's definitely needs on this roster.
Yeah, they need a roster. That's what they need here in Tennessee. Mina Kimes here with us on 104.5 The Zone.
So obviously a heavy hand towards building out the offensive line, Mina, and it feels like on paper we have a starting five in front of Cam Ward. So step one, pass protection. Step two, pass catchers for the Titans. To you, though, when you look at maybe a common thread with rookie quarterbacks that found success, especially looking at last year as a great example, is there one thing you feel like is consistent with those teams, one thing that they had in particular that puts a rookie in position to just grow in his rookie year, understanding the Titans aren't very poised to have a Jaden Daniels Commanders or even Bo Nix Broncos type of run this year?
Candidly, not really, because when you go to last year, go to look at a player like Drake May, that was a horrible situation. There's nothing about that I would recommend that the Titans emulate, and still he flashed that. Again, talking about the playmaking and the out of structure stuff in particular, and the arm talent, all things that Cam Ward has. So they're like a cautionary tale, and yet you still feel pretty happy as a Patriots fan, even though he wasn't set up to succeed. I think the Commanders did a better job building the offensive line than many people, myself included, thought. I thought that was going to be a very difficult situation for him. But they, I think, made some pretty good decisions in terms of the veterans that they brought on. And they actually brought in veterans who were kind of like similar to the Titans. Well, I guess Dan Moore Jr., they didn't pay anyone that kind of money, but they brought in experience. They drafted as well. They ended up playing their left tackle that they drafted, I think, in the third round, Brandon Coleman. So that line was better than I thought. And then I think like Cliff Kingsbury did a really good job with Jane Daniels. So I guess coaching would be the through line there. And that's usually the through line with these guys is, do they have good coaches? Bo Nix, maybe that's probably a better example. Just a very, an offense that was tailored to his skill set early on. Obviously Sean Payton, one of the better play callers in the game. That's a very good offensive line though in Denver. And I think Tennessee's got a ways to go to get there.
I'm glad you brought up Cliff Kingsbury, Mina, because and you talked about this on the podcast, obviously, and people who are studying the All-22 and the tape on a week-by-week, day-by-day basis were aware of what Cliff was doing and how just kind of waiting for Cliff to kind of happen, and it never did, to his credit. I was honestly surprised to see him not get more head coaching looks this year based on what he was able to do last year.
Yeah, one of the things that he did well, and I think something that I've always liked about him, is he's a really good run game designer, and Washington did have a very good, they were obviously helped by having a quarterback who had that dual threat ability, but that's certainly something that's quite helpful for a young quarterback, right? The ability to have a run game that keeps you on time. And I think that Tennessee has the capacity to do that. You've got the backs. The question will be just kind of whether or not the offensive line, you made the right choices, and some of the young guys can take a leap forward and be put in a better position to fail playing next to more experienced vets. But that's something you'd like to see from Callahan as well this season.
God knows Tennessee and offensive line decision-making haven't gone hand in hand in the last couple of years, so that is far from a sure thing, but certainly they seem to at least be moving in the right direction from worst in the league to maybe league average, please God, maybe league average. Mina, what's on NFL Live today that people can look forward to? And we so appreciate you taking some time. I know you're busy today.
Yeah, no, all good. You'll hear me say for the 10,000th time, I don't really care what happens with Aaron Rodgers at this point. No, I'm just kidding. We're talking a little bit about the Steelers and what they're going to do at the quarterback position. Of course, the Giants, what they're going to do with pick 3, which is, by the way, I keep doing these war room mock drafts, I call them, where I have a guest on. Last week was Todd McShay. Next week's going to be Daniel Jeremiah. And I give them 2 choices for every pick. And the Titans, obviously, it's been kind of anticlimactic. So I keep giving them trade packages for Cam Ward. And so far, everybody has said no. The last 2 guests were Dane Brugler and Todd McShay. So this week, Titans fans, I'm going to give Daniel Jeremiah an even bigger trade package and see how much he loves Cam Ward, because that's really the only option. But the trade package would be coming from New York to move down to 3, which I think is pretty enticing, right? Because you're still getting Carter or Hunter, probably Carter. But we're going to be talking about the Giants, and then I think we're going to talk about the Chiefs today, and maybe the Broncos. No, the Browns. The Browns.
All interesting things, always interesting on NFL Live. And, of course, what she's referencing there is the podcast, The Mina Kimes Show, featuring Lenny. Wherever you get your podcast, it is available. Also, the YouTube channel. In fact, Jackson, if we could do, if we could drop the link to the YouTube channel in the live stream comments for people to check out what Mina's doing on YouTube, because it's really, really high-level stuff. Mina, we appreciate you making us smarter. Good to catch up, and hopefully we'll do it at some point during the football season.
Good to see you back. Enjoy that very predictable draft. It's coming y'all's way.
That's all I want. Just give me a quarterback that I don't hate watching on a week-by-week basis. Thank you, Mina. It's Mina Kimes with us on 104.5 The Zone. Really good stuff there from Mina. And like I said, Jackson will drop the link in the chat. What are you bothered by?
You're just blushing. It's adorable.
I mean, he's really good.
She is. Yeah.
Is it more or less than the Vrabel mustache?
What? What do you mean?
The what's the word I'm looking for? How much I enjoy talking to a person who I know is good at what they do.
More or less than the Vrabel mustache.
Yeah. Weren't you alleging that I was Vrabel cosplaying?
Yeah, that was just you trying to be Vrabel. That had nothing to do with enjoying listening to him talk.
I wouldn't hate growing a couple inches. I think I'd look a lot better at 6'4" than I do 6'2". Either way, 615-737-1045 is the number. If you want to jump in, we'd be happy to have you. Coming up next, Mike Vick, a former #1 overall pick. He has some advice for Cam Ward. He was on SportsCenter giving that out yesterday. We'll cover it next.